Okay, we are back. Chapter 6, Video 3, page 110, starting at the effects of gratitude. Scripture reminds us to give thanks, and so we should regardless of the outcome. But there may be some practical effects of giving thanks as well. An increasing body of research demonstrates so many positive impacts of gratitude that the findings should sound almost like an infomercial for a miracle drug. Let's read that again. An increasing body of research demonstrates so many positive impacts of gratitude that the findings should sound almost like an infomercial for a miracle drug. In a number of studies, people have been asked to keep a gratitude journal where they list things at the end of each day or week for which they are grateful for or they're thankful. Those who keep these journals experience a number of psychological benefits. They experience more positive emotions throughout the day and report higher levels of happiness than those who did not engage in the practice. Those who keep gratitude journals also experience physical benefits. These people sleep better and have better mental and physical health than those who do not document the things for which they are thankful. Other research has found that people who express gratitude are more likely to develop friendships, to experience empathy toward others, and to have resilience in the face of failure. God knows it is good for our souls to remain grounded in the reality that there are other people and circumstances at work besides just our own. And we reap the benefits when we make an effort to identify and call out those things for which we are thankful. Recognizing that we have much for which to be grateful changes us. And when we express our gratitude, it changes others. In fact, we often misjudge the impact of saying thank you. A recent study showed that people significantly underestimate the surprise and joy a thank you note actually generated. In other words, expressing our thanks to others has more of an impact than we may think. This should be all the more reason to give thanks. Speak thanks, write thanks, and pray thanks to the one from whom all blessings flow. Celebrating success. Giving thanks is one way to handle success with humility. Another way to react is to celebrate. Celebration could be viewed as a self-serving opportunity for self-congratulatory remarks after something achieved or some achievement. But it does not have to be this way. In Scripture, we see regularly calls to celebrate. In the Old Testament, we see examples of feast days and days of celebration built into the Jewish calendar. These are holidays that served as regular reminders that good things come from God and not the equivalent of award ceremonies that recognize those who did well, but rather parties celebrating what God has done among the community. These Jewish celebrations are opportunities to gather in community, enjoy good food and drink, and play. Many of those who follow God closely are the ones who put on feasts and celebrations of God's goodness. In the book of Genesis, we see Abraham hosting feasts celebrating various family milestones. Isaac, David, Jonathan, the disciples, the early church, and even Jesus hosted meals and parties celebrating the goodness of God. These are not low-key celebrations. The Jews really know how to celebrate. As Christians, we have our Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter celebrations, which last multiple days and all centered on the worship of God, recognizing God's goodness, presence, and activity among the people. Imagine singing, dancing, feasting, bringing good tidings, and most of all, thanking God. Celebration through offering. The Old Testament feasts were opportunities to celebrate, but they also involved sacrifices. Killing the fatted calf, the sacrificial lamb, a goat, or a dove as an offering to God was customary during this time. This notion of sacrificing an animal seems odd to us who have not been raised in such a culture. And while these sacrifices had a theological purpose that is no longer necessary since Jesus provided himself as the ultimate sacrifice, there is another aspect to them that may still fit our modern sensibilities. When the Jews offered sacrifices, it was a tangible way of recognizing and responding to God's blessings in their community, a way of giving thanks. This kind of offering does make sense to us, and there are ways that some churches today give congregants opportunities to make offerings to their work to God. John Knox Presbyterian Church in Seattle had people bring a physical representation of their work to a Thanksgiving service. People brought keys, flash drives, projects, and paperwork that represented their work life and physically laid them on the altar in the front of the sanctuary. For the congregants, laying these items before God was a physical representation of offering their work activity to God, and it was also a way of acknowledging that success is the realm of work is accomplished through God's goodness. Celebration in the workplace. In church, celebrating the goodness of God is welcomed and even commanded, but how can we carry these same experiences and practices into our places of work? Many of us work in settings where God is not publicly acknowledged. So how can we appropriately express gratitude and celebration in these places? First, we can take time regularly to identify what is going well on a team. Instead of jumping into meetings and brainstorming sessions with the task at hand, take time on a regular basis to affirm your team members, their contributions, and their work. People do not hear "thank you, great work," or "I really appreciated when you blank" often enough. But taking time to show our appreciation, especially publicly, we practice gratitude for what has gone well at work. Even if you are not in a leadership position, acknowledging those who work alongside and their work can be a way of saying, "I see you and I see that you're working hard." Second, we can celebrate the completion of a project. When a project is finalized, the finished product is often not at all what we pictured when we began working on it, especially when there were challenges to overcome and problems to solve. Completing a project is a big deal. It could be a solo project, a book gets written, a presentation given, a lesson taught, a delivery made, or a marketing plan completed. Or it could be a team project, a restoration, a rebranding, a conference, a school-wide assessment, a park cleanup, or a toy drive. Whatever it is, take time out of your regular schedule to celebrate its completion. Whatever it is, taking time out of your regular schedule to celebrate its completion is a way to honor those who contributed to it. Depending on your workplace, you may not be able to overtly recognize God's activity and presence. Nonetheless, in recognizing those who contributed creatively, organization, hard work, and effort, you are honoring the God in whose image each person was made. By taking time to celebrate, you acknowledge the goodness and provision of God. Third, we can celebrate employees for their contributions, particularly when we find ourselves in positions of influence and authority. We have the opportunity and responsibility to create a culture of gratitude. When we are in leadership, we can regularly celebrate those who work with and for us. To whom much is given, much is required, Luke 12:48. Part of that requirement is being a good model for others by expressing your gratitude for their contribution and calling for a celebration for the good work accomplished. We'll pause here and pick up on page 114 in the next video.